writers, Mrs. Cole here from Lenape Meadows, and today we're going to begin drafting the middle to your realistic fiction story. You'll need a few things for this lesson. You need your story map, your introduction that you wrote last week, and a nice fresh piece of paper to start writing your middle. Before we begin, it's always important to reread your writing to see where you left off so that we're ready to continue. I'm going to read the last few sentences from my introduction and my sample story. Remember, Grace is on a field trip to the aquarium. Her class is moving towards the whale statue in the main lobby. Let's find out what happens. She was only half paying attention because at that moment she saw a sign pointing to the one exhibit that she wanted to see. The aquarium was famous for having rescued a 14-foot great white shark, and they were keeping it until they were able to release it. She headed off in the direction, thinking her group was right behind her. Good. Now that we know where we left off, it's our job to develop that problem a little bit and include our character's reaction to that problem. We do this before we even start drafting any of those events that we planned out. Let's take a look at how I did this in our sample story. I will start my middle on a separate piece of paper from where I wrote my introduction. Keep in mind that we're trying to show, not tell, how Grace is feeling when she's separated from her group. Think back to those show, don't tell lessons. You may want to have a copy of your showing feelings chart nearby while you write. We've included a picture of this on the next slide for you. Now I'm going to read you how I started the middle of my story. As Grace approached the shark exhibit, her heart started beating faster and faster. Her eyes grew wide with excitement as she first caught sight of the enormous creature. She immediately turned around to share her excitement with her best friend Beth. But when she turned around, Beth and her classmates were nowhere to be found. Where had they gone? She wondered to herself. Grace felt a pit growing inside her stomach. Okay, writers. Notice how I showed how Grace was feeling in 3 separate places. I have those underlined here for us. Instead of saying that Grace was really happy when she got to the exhibit, I showed you by saying that her heart started beating faster and her eyes grew wide. Then, later on in the story, when Grace realizes that she's separated from her class, instead of saying that she was scared or worried, I said Grace felt a pit growing inside her stomach. Now I'm ready to start drafting the actual events of my story. Remember, these are the attempts that Grace or your character tries to solve their problem. We're going to do this in tomorrow's lesson. Now it is your turn, writers, to go give this a try. You're going to start the middle of your own story today. Start off by asking yourself, how is your character feeling right after the problem happens? What do they do? What do they say? Happy writing!